Yi Chen, on the thickness of one's skin, any one facing, you will have to submit in admiration. Yi Chen understood Feng Xiao's meaning, but he felt no shame at all. Instead, I felt fortunate for my own cleverness. He simply went ahead and did what he wanted. All the blame was placed squarely on Feng Xiao's shoulders. Shuo Feng Xiao was caught stealing items from Linglong Ji and being publicly accused. Causing him to become angry out of shame, the killer struck under the cover of night, and he, Chen, became the hero who stopped Feng Xiao from committing murder. But unfortunately, in the end it is still failed to save the lives of the two. Yi Chen spoke eloquently. The more you talk, the easier it gets. In the end, even he was about to wake up. Feng Xiao stood by the side, quietly watching him perform. As for the old man and King Yangzi, his face darkened. Yi Chen was completely unaware of this. I only feel that this move is logical. The wait at Taojiang is truly wonderful. I couldn't help but feel a bit proud. But after finishing speaking, he didn't hear it. King Yangzi's reprimand of Feng Xiao, leaving him somewhat puzzled. At this moment, the old man tugged at his sleeve, whispered, "That kid, Feng Xiao. I just returned to the sect this afternoon." Yi Chen was taken aback, but soon realized. The next moment his face turned pale. Oh no, now they've been caught red-handed. Originally, it should have been Yi Chen. Did not make up the story that follows. Perhaps there is still room for negotiation. But after finishing this, after the story full of flaws, anyone can hear it. Yi Chen is lying. So Yi Chen's intention to lie, it goes without saying. So Feng Xiao didn't say anything. No need to speak. He simply watched King Yangzi quietly. What is King Yangzi's true attitude? King Yangzi looked at Yi Chen, cursing silently in my heart. A broken reed cannot prop up a wall. Originally, he was quite fond of Yi Chen, because this kid, although teeth must repay selfishness. But after all, it is still of superior quality, and the heart is without fulfillment. Such arrogant people, absolutely impossible to become leader of the sect disciples, if he were to serve as the son. So King Yangzi, this sect leader, can become the true number one of the sect. But now Yi Chen has killed someone, killing an ordinary person. Then that's fine. For cultivators like them, as long as no one sees it. Then they didn't kill. But the problem is, he also killed the owner of Linglong Pavilion. Everyone in Dongjun knows Linglong Pavilion is subordinate to Yunjian Pavilion. So, Linglong Pavilion manager, it is the people from Yunjianji, the people of Yunjian, let you be killed. Are you not going to explain yourself? Although the Teiwei sect has a good relationship with Yunjianji, but this is not too microsome. The reason to freely kill members of the Yunjian Pavilion. King Yangzi's face looked troubled. After giving Yi Chen a fierce glare, this is what was said. Let's return to the sect. The rest will be discussed later. Feng Xiao's face was as water, silently turned around and picked up, staying frozen in place. A little girl like a wooden puppet. Then, unexpectedly, I wanted to see it fly away, seeing Feng Xiao from beginning to end. Never even said hello to myself. King Yangzi also understood. Feng Xiao's heart, even his master, is furious about this. It's no wonder. In the afternoon, I just got played by this master. Arrived here. No one stood directly on my side again. Who doesn't want to be popular? However, King Yangzi felt about this matter. I didn't take it to heart much. Because Feng Xiao's greatest strength, it means having a broad mind to his master, and sufficiently respectful. Believe, Even if King Yangzi says nothing, Feng Xiao wouldn't hold a grudge against his master forever. King Yangzi thought for a moment. Take out a transmission talisman. I got in touch with my junior, Qin Zhao. Instruct Qin Zhao to send a few disciples. Arriving at Liang City, come guard the Linglong Pavilion before the people from Yunjian arrived. Teiwei sect must ensure that the Linglong Pavilion is well guarded. Yunjian is quite famous in the Eastern Ju. Linglong Pavilion, under its subordinates, it also has a certain level of fame. So, the vast majority of sects, no one dares to take action against Linglong Pavilion, the Linglong Pavilion of every city. Usually, there is only one manager responsible for the operations, hiring a few locals to help with the slapping. As for the guards, basically there isn't any. This is also why Yi Chen Kai, I had the chance to kill the shopkeeper, but there are no guards. Does not mean that Linglong Pavilion is weak and can be underestimated, using the methods of Yunjian, as long as it doesn't enter too much tranquility. Perhaps it is as tranquil as Jing's embellishments. Those who take action can be found out, if it exceeds this realm. So, send guards to protect. It's basically useless. King Yangzi finished giving instructions, then turned around, with piercing eyes, looking at Yi Chen. Yi Chen felt a chill all over under King Yangzi's gaze. But still I dare not speak, could only stand silently in place. After a while, King Yangzi let out a cold snort, turned his head to the side. The scene suddenly fell into silence. After a while, Yi Chen couldn't stand the oppressive silence. Can't help but whisper to the old man, speaking of the Grand Master's uncle. This Linglong Pavilion, there are quite a few good things hidden away. Now, besides us, there's no one here either. How about we just... Before Yi Chen could finish speaking, an old man gave a slap, tapped him on the back of the head. A look of frustration at unfulfilled potential. You little rascal, why are you so confused? This is Linglong Pavilion. It belongs to Yan Jianji. What courage do you have? Dare to take things from the Yunjian? Is it that I truly dislike living too long? Yi Chen said with a face full of grievance. I'm just doing this for the alliance, okay? Just think about it. If we have these treasures from the Linglong Pavilion, the strength of our Teiwei sect, it must be greatly improved. At that time, who dares to bully our Teiwei sect? The old man has grown tired of him too, said with annoyance. The items in the Linglong Pavilion. Now it's easy to get. But then what? Do you dare to use it in front of everyone? As long as you dare to use it, I promise the next day, there will be people from Yun Jianji coming to settle the score with you. Yi Chen could only close his mouth. Yet in their heart they were not convinced. Yun Jianji, although renowned, but what does that matter? Sooner or later, one day, I want to let the entire Cloud Pavilion all sink and float beneath my feet. At the same time, Feng Xiao was holding the little girl, encountering flight in the night sky. He carefully blocked it. The cold wind under the night sky. Do not let the cold wind invade. The little girl in my arms. Time passed without knowing how long. Feng Xiao felt the little girl in his arms. Twisted a bit. He looked down, but saw the little girl, with a pair of bright big eyes wide open, staring blankly at oneself. The wind gently caressed little girl's head, spoke softly. Don't be afraid, little one. The master is here. Master, where is my brother? The little girl asked softly. The wind whistle fell silent for a moment. Just then he said, your brother has gone to another world. Master is deceiving. I just saw it. It's that person. Killed my brother." The little girl suddenly screamed. Eyes were filled with tears. "I want to kill that person. Avenge my brother. I still need to take revenge for Uncle Shangui." The wind gently tapped the little girl's back, whispered, "So you want your master to take revenge for you? It's better if you take revenge yourself." The little girl stared blankly at the wind vane. It seems to not understand the meaning of the wind whistle. Feng Shao said, "If it is master who takes revenge for you, then I promise that murderer won't live past 3 days. If it's done by your own hands, then master can share all the knowledge learned in a lifetime. All will be imparted to you when you reach enlightenment. When enough time has passed to confront the first enemy, you can personally do it for your brother. Avenge the storekeeper." Actually, for Feng Shao, killing Yi Chen is a bit troublesome. There may still be some twists and turns, but in the end it can still be killed. But now he encountered another problem. That is, this Yi Chen has already become the mortal enemy of the little girl. The little girl saw it with her own eyes. Yi Chen killed his own brother. In my heart about this, there is already a shadow. In the future, during the cultivation journey, it's inevitable that this will create inner demons. If the wind whistles, kill Yi Chen now. When that little girl encounters her inner demons in the future, there's no way to solve it. Therefore, the wind whistle will grant the choice. The little girl's eyes flickered with emotion. After a while, using a sharp tone, said the disciple, "Disciple, I want to take revenge for my brother myself." The wind nodded gently, "Since that's the case, so master will do everything to help you against your first enemy." Chapter 37, Against It. The next day, the bell on Tewei Mountain rang 6 times. The 6 bells toll. Today in the sect, a major announcement will be made. All inner gate and true transmission disciples. Everyone must attend. Many disciples, upon hearing the bell toll, all in a fog. Speculations abound. What is the important matter? Need to learn. The 6 bells toll. It had only happened once before, but that time it is the consecration ceremony of the holy son of Fengshao. I didn't expect that just a few days later the bell rang 6 times again. After hearing the bell again, inner disciples and true transmission disciples, everyone put down what they were doing, arrived at the sect's square. When they arrived here, discovering the master Kinyangzi and Qin Xiaoan Du Yuengzi, the 2 elders have taken their seats. After a while, even Ju from the alchemy pavilion and the forge, the 2 elders of Song have also arrived. Elder Shu's name is Shu Yu. Elder Song's name is Song Lion. The 2 were not originally from the Wei family. It is the wandering hermit called by the winds whistled down the mountain. One of them is skilled in alchemy, a master of casting, the skills of the 2, though it cannot be said to be the best. But throughout the Eastern Ju, they can be considered leaders in their respective fields. The reason the wind whistle attracted the 2, the focus should be on strengthening the sect's alchemy practice and the abilities in casting and forging, after all for cultivators. Elixirs and magical artifacts is something that can never be lacking. Aside from these 5 people, sitting among those in power, there was also an old man with completely white hair. This old man, for the vast majority of disciples, it's an unfamiliar face. Few people know about his origins. Look at his calm and composed demeanor. Many people are guessing in their hearts. Perhaps this old man, it is the new elder recently recruited by the Holy Son, not long after. Inner gate disciple and King Chuan disciple, entering the square with forbidden techniques. At this moment, Feng Shao walked in front of every one. He spoke loudly to all his disciples. Dear junior disciples, today I have gathered everyone here. There is an important announcement to make. This concerns the reputation of our sect. Therefore, we need all of our junior brothers and sisters. Together witnessing, after a pause, the wind whistle continued to speak. Yi Chen, a disciple of the Three Doors of Pure Transmission, a few days ago, in the operation at the closed courtyard, be ruthless towards the senior sister. At the same time, seize the treasures of the sect, the words of the closed square. Not only that, back to yesterday, infiltrating the Liang City launch, the murder of the Dragon Pavilion manager, Deng Su, with an innocent child. Their methods are despicable. Cruel behavior, violation of the second rule of this door, fourth, fifth, and seventh items. Zhang Shang decided to abandon his cultivation, expelled from the sect, and announced to the world. As soon as these words were spoken, the crowd was in an uproar. Tai Weizong's 7 major rules, though it is only a few numbers. But it was to Weizong, the foundation of establishing a school in these years. Sect affairs. Everyone must comply. If there are violations, must impose severe punishment on them. That being said, over the years, Tai Weizong has experienced much. Few people violate the door rules, even if it's illegal. Most behaviors are also mild. The most I can face is a month. That's about it. So far, I have never heard of it. Who has violated it all at once? More than 2 house rules. Still in a state of abandoned cultivation, and expelled from the sect as punishment. This time it's really something. A disciple of King Chuan from the Sanjai sect suddenly unleashed a powerful move, violated 4 rules at once. You should know. There are a total of 7 rules. This could be considered as relying solely on one's own strength. The dignity of the sect's rules. Stepping on the ground, and gave it a thorough chase. All the disciples, upon hearing about this matter, all is in the heart, gave Yi Chen a thumbs up. He is a tough guy. However, Feng Shao announced that, after the punishment results, someone suddenly shouted, "Wait! I disagree," calling out. It was indeed that one, the old man with white hair. The old man stood up, pointing at Feng Shao, staring with anger. "You are clearly taking personal revenge. Extreme virtue and ability. You are jealous that Yi Chen's talent is better than yours. Training is faster than you. You are jealous of him, threatening your position as the Holy Son. Would be eager to want to expel Yi Chen from the sect. Heartless and unyielding. In short, I'm telling you, as long as I'm here, no one can take away Yi Chen's cultivation." Feng Shao coldly stared at the old man, asked rhetorically, "I do not know who you are." The old man suddenly became furious, his face turning red. "And I am Lin Zuzi, the master uncle of King Yangzi. It is your grand master's uncle." Feng Xiaoping asked calmly, "Do you have any evidence?" Lin Zuzi was instantly rendered speechless. At this moment, King Yangzi suddenly spoke up. He said faintly, "Lin Zuzi, senior. He is the junior disciple of Master Yujizi. There's no need to worry about this matter." Feng Shao calmly said, "Master, the world is full of deceitful and crafty people, in abundance, unforeseen circumstances. Master should discern the true from the false. Do not be deceived by petty people." King Yangzi frowned. "Still haven't spoken. Listen here," Lin Zuzi angrily said. "You little brat. Who is your mother, the liar?" Feng Shao ignored him too, but continued to speak to King Yangzi. Please, master, discern wisely. Yi Chen, disciple of the King Chuan under the Sanjai Gate. The evidence of the crime is conclusive, ironclad evidence. To uphold the dignity of the sect, must be severely punished. Lin Yuzi angrily said, "You claim the evidence is conclusive, yet unaware of where the evidence lies." Feng Shaitan nodded beside him. He said softly, "Please let the disciples of the King Chuan under the three gates come forward." Lu Qingyuan Jr.'s sister, Lu Qingyuan leaped out among the crowd. He first had a respectful expression, salute Zhang Qingyangzi and the others. Then he said, "A few days ago, I and my fellow senior brothers and sisters, under the guidance of senior brother Shengzi, heading to Bifeng Garden, searching for the words of Bifeng. Thanks to the Holy Sun senior brother's strategic planning, finally succeeded in obtaining the words of Bai Fang. However, shortly after receiving the words of Bifeng, a figure in black clothing with a mask suddenly appeared. First, they injured senior sister Han Bian. Then he snatched away Bai Fang's words. The disciple stepped forward to chase. After a fierce battle with him, that person drew a blood-red longsword. The disciple recognizes clearly that blood-red longsword. This is the accessory of Master Yi Chen, plus the techniques he uses. All are techniques of this school's swordsmanship. Therefore, the disciple dares to assert, the figure in black is Yi Chen. I kindly ask for the elder's understanding." On the way back with Feng Shao, Lu Qingyuan had already figured it out. Feng Shao has sacrificed too much for this sect, and these disciples of theirs, actually it's all direct or indirect, benefit from Feng Shao's contributions. Compared to Feng Shao, Lu Qingyuan is just an ordinary disciple. How much have you contributed to the sect again? Just thinking about this, Lu Qingyuan felt ashamed in his heart, was even less willing to protect Yi Chen. Lu Qingyuan finished speaking. The crowd was in an uproar again. Lu Qingyuan, as a disciple of the Sanjai sect, but publicly accused. Yi Chen, also known as one of the three pure ones. The meaning represented here, it was truly extraordinary, and some who know Lu Qingyuan, those who are close to Yi Chen, it was an accusation against Lu Qingyuan. Astonished, hard to believe. The senior sister who usually cares for Yi Chen the most, accusing his junior apprentice. Come closer, it shows no mercy. Among everyone, the most shocking, there is no one better than the host Du Yuexi of Sanjai. Du Yuexi arrived at the square. I am also at a loss. I have no idea. What happened? Until the wind whistle speaks. I just found out. It turns out it was my own little apprentice again. The trouble that has come, and what they did, it also shocked Du Yuexi when he heard it. Hard to believe. Yi Chen actually did something like this. Before he could recover from his shock, another shocking event occurred, accusing Yi Chen of violating the sect rules. It turned out to be my own third disciple, Lu Qingyuan. This moment, Du Yuexi, it feels like being in a dream. He couldn't help but mutter to himself, "What on earth is happening today?" Originally, Du Yuexi, I also want to say a few words for my little disciple, but now he finds it inconvenient to speak. After all, they are now my third disciple, accusing the four disciples in public. He as the master. No matter whom you speak for, there is bound to be a suspicion of favoritism. Therefore, I can only remain silent. After Du Yuexi chose silence, dedicated to clearing Yi Chen's name, only Lin Yuzi is left. Only Lin Yuzi roared angrily, "You little girl, how can one rely on a single sword and the sword techniques he displayed. Just accept it. It was him who acted, seized the words of avoidance. Couldn't it be that someone else is pretending? Lu Qingyuan raised his head, gazing directly into Lin Zuzi's eyes. He said calmly and without arrogance what the disciples said, all seen by the disciples. Not a single lie. If there is a false statement, the disciple is willing to endure the suffering of the thunder tribulation. Taoist monk, before achieving true immortality, one must first pass through the thunder tribulation. Lu Qingyuan's vow. It is equal to enlightening others through one's own path of cultivation. A vow cannot be taken lightly. Therefore, after Lu Qingyuan finished speaking, disciples in the square, everyone basically believed Lu Qingyuan's words. Qilin Zuzai. He merely let out a cold snort. Who hasn't made a vow? Even an ordinary person who has never practiced Kai. You can casually make dozens of vows. Aren't you the one who dared to swear? Let me ask you, do you dare to swear by your own heart? You saw it with your own eyes. Have you seen the true face of the one who snatched it? Lu Qingyuan hesitated for a moment before, shook his head. The disciple did not see. Lin Zuzi showed a proud expression. I said, you must be talking nonsense. At this moment, Feng Xiao suddenly spoke, asking how you would explain that. In Yi Chen's bloodline, why is there a hint of evasive language? Lin Zuzi was immediately speechless. Yesterday in the heat of battle, Feng Xiao could clearly feel, in Yi Chen's bloodline, the scent of hidden evasive words, passing through the ceiling inspection. After reviewing it, Feng Xiao suddenly discovered Yi Chen unexpectedly possesses the body of a fire killer and the body that slays fire. It can be achieved by devouring the spirit fire to strengthen one's own bloodline. Two sides corroborate each other. Without a doubt, words of avoidance. It was taken by Yi Chen and was swallowed by Yi Chen. Lin Zuzi is well aware of this, but he doesn't feel that way. What is wrong with Yi Chen doing this? In his view, heavenly spiritual treasures, those with fate, reside here. Yi Chen was able to obtain evasive words. No matter what means are used, these are all opportunities belonging to Yi Chen. No one has the right to interfere. But this is something that is hard to say. Otherwise, it would be confirmed. The crime of infighting among the disciples of Yi Chen. He turned his eyes, sneered. In the bloodline, what is the essence of evasive words? Yi Chen's talent is exceptional. In the bloodline, the breath of evasive words. It is a gift from heaven. You can't just because jealous of Yi Chen's talent. Just frame him. Seize the words of refuge. Feng Xiaowen, may I ask who you are? Do you dare to swear in the name of your heart? Guarantee Yi Chen there was no intention to seize the words of avoidance, and did not injure the senior sister from the same sect. Chapter 38, Under Treatment. Lin Zuzi's lips twitched slightly. The mouth opened and closed repeatedly. Finally, I managed to utter a vow. That's something only kids play with. I won't be with you all, playing such childish tricks. General Feng withdrew his gaze. Continue speaking about. Besides this, Yi Chen returned yesterday, sneaking into the Linglong Pavilion in Liang City. Murder of the Linglong Pavilion manager, Deng Su, with a little boy. This again broke the fourth and fifth items. Before Feng Xiao could finish speaking, Lin Zuzi spoke again. What evidence do you have to prove that Yi Chen killed these two people? Feng Xiao used a kind of, look at him with a gaze like that of an idiot, said coldly, are your eyes not working well? You clearly saw it with your own eyes. Now you still want me to provide evidence. Lin's Yuzikang became very odd. When at Linglong Pavilion, I only see that you want to kill Yi Chen, yet did not see Yi Chen kill those two people. You said Yi Chen killed someone. Evidence. Feng Shao let out a cold snort, waved his hand to the side. Suddenly, a child who looks around 12 or 13 years old. The little girl, like a delicate sculpture, walked over. Feng Shao gently caressed. Her little brain spoke softly. Last night? What did you say? Just say it all out. The little girl faced such a situation. It's still the first time in life. I can't help but feel a bit nervous. She stammered as she spoke. Last night, I am meditating and practicing Kai in the room. Then Xiao Bao suddenly said there was a commotion outside. I don't know what's happening outside. So I just went out to take a look. The little girl became more and more fluent as she spoke. Soon it will be last night. What happened? One by one. Speaking of my younger brother, Wei Yechen, when innocent hostages are killed, unable to hold back tears. Many disciples present were watching. In the heart of the city there are sorrows. Unable to hold back my righteous indignation. The little girl said while smoking at the end, if it weren't for the timely arrival of my master, I also died at the hands of that villain. To target such a little girl is simply inhuman. Yi Chen thought the talent seemed promising. Why are people so vile? HMPH. I told you all a long time ago. Yi Chen is not a good person. 3 of them received such a one. A guy with a terrible character. What terrible luck! The disciples were discussing among themselves. Du Yuanxi, sitting in the front seat. Hearing this, his face turned pale, then green. The complexity of emotions. Hard to describe. He originally placed great importance on Yi Chen, even wanted to pass on the teachings of the 3, pass into Yi Chen's hands. But the path of cultivation. Before cultivating the Tao, one must first cultivate oneself. On a healthy mindset, then the path ahead is destined to be bumpy. Lightly, one would suffer the punishment of being struck by the 9 heavens' thunder. If heavy, the inner demons will bind you and you cannot escape. If it were Yi Chen, able to do evil afterward, can still cultivate smoothly, that can only prove he is a born villain. Doing evil was for him. It's just eating and drinking. Ordinary, everyday matters. However, the deeper such a person cultivates, the disaster becomes even more severe. Yet Taoism prides itself on being a prestigious orthodox sect. How could it possibly be tolerated? Such a mindset person. So if Yi Chen made this happen, no matter what, has he been stripped of his cultivation? Tai Weizong would never take him in again. As everyone was discussing this matter, once again Lin Zuzi asked, "You little girl, just now I mentioned the master. Who is your master?" The little girl glanced at the wind whistle, holding onto the wind whistling clothes. "He is my master." Feng Shao also nodded. Speaking of this little girl, it was in Liang City that I encountered it. Seeing her talent is quite good, then accept her as a disciple. Temporarily fostered at Linglong Pavilion. I wonder what significance this holds for you. The wind whistled, addressing him as Your Excellency. Refused to call her from beginning to end. A call to master, uncle. Lin Yuzi had long felt a rage boiling in her heart. He looked at the little girl with a gloomy gaze. He said coldly, "She is your disciple. Speaking is naturally directed towards you. Moreover, the words of a child. Not to be taken seriously. Lin Yuzi has repeatedly turned black into white. The disciples had long been dissatisfied. At that moment, she was being unreasonable again. At that moment, many people were present. They began to protest one after another. "You're just an old man being stubborn. What is said cannot be taken seriously. I don't know either. Where did that old man come from? Ran all the way here. Old tricks for old folks. Jen dang tai wise on. You opened it." The sect leader didn't say a word. "What nonsense are you talking about, old man?" HMPH. "You old man. This is how Yi Chen speaks. Could it be that Yi Chen is your biological father?" The disciples protest against Lin Ziuzi. Strange occurrences arise, and King Yangzi couldn't help but furrow their brows. Although Lin Ziuzi's identity is questionable, but since King Yangzi acknowledged his identity, so, according to Lin Ziuzi, he is the granduncle of all the disciples. It's precisely because of this Feng Shao refuses to acknowledge Lin Ziuzi, caused the disciples, not willing to admit it. Only from this aspect you can see it clearly, the respect that Feng Shao holds in the hearts of his disciples. To surpass him, the sect leader, this made King Yangzi feel in his heart. Unavoidably a bit irritable, Lin Ziuzi was furious and jumped up in rage. Roared, "You disrespectful brats! Do you really think I won't take action against you?" The moment Qi Lin Ziuzi finished speaking, Bianting Feng said coldly, "I advise you to take it easy. This is Teiwei sect. This is not a place where you can act recklessly. You." Lin Ziuzi was so angry that she could hardly speak. Feng Shao's words mean this. It's already obvious. Didn't take Lin Ziuzi seriously at all. Regard them as members of the Teiwei sect. Not even considered a guest. Lin Ziuzi was about to explode with anger. Suddenly, a low cry of a crane echoed, though the voice is low, but because it was attached with true essence. Therefore, this low cry of the crane spread far and wide. The symptoms left everyone stunned. In the blink of an eye, he suddenly came back to his senses amidst the rising anger of the crowd. Feng Shao rushed forward and clasped his hands. "Uncle Fei, thank you for your efforts." Qin Zhao nodded. "No more talking. Lin Ziuzi is also under the shadow of Qin Zhao." A silent fear arose. Since I ascended Teiwei Mountain, Lin Ziuzi relied on his high status. Everywhere, the old boast of their age. Only regard oneself as the ancestor of the entire sect. Just short of setting up a tablet for myself, everyone started to worship him. But Qin Zhao's low cry of a crane, but it made his head buzz. He considers himself to be. This step is absolutely impossible to achieve. Regarding Qin Zhao's cultivation, gained some understanding. Clearly, Qin Zhao's cultivation, it should be far above Lin Ziuzi. And at that moment, Qin Zhao's low cry sounded. It's also very interesting. While the disciples clamored, he didn't speak. It just so happens to be Lin Ziuzi. Speak when you're angry. The choice of this moment. It's quite thought-provoking. Lin Ziuzi is not a fool either. Nature also sensed Qin Zhao's attitude. Extremely furious in my heart. But they also did not dare to act recklessly again. Just let out a heavy hum. Speaking of, but based solely on this little girl's word. The crime of setting the night and dawn. I think it's inappropriate. Feng Shao smiled coldly to himself, clearly different from the previous tone. It needs to be softer. This was influenced by Qin Zhao, the influence of that low crane sound. This old fool. Indeed, he's someone who bullies the weak and fears the strong. Now I finally know how to back down. Feng Shao retorted. May I ask what you think? What is considered appropriate? Lin Ziuzi's eyes twinkled. It is said that Yi Chen has quite good talent. Luojia has been trained. Sooner or later, it won't be soaring. The Teiwei sect has this son. It is truly a fortunate event for the sect. And you are the wind Shao. 30 years of entry. Yet to enter the realm of golden elixir, mediocre qualifications, not worthy of the position of the Holy Sun. All your accusations against Yi Chen. Clearly, it all comes from your jealousy. You are jealous that Yi Chen's talent is better than yours. Afraid he will take away your position as the Holy Sun. This is what sets the dawn for the night. These baseless accusations. You can be anxious or relaxed. But what crime should be charged? Before Feng Xiao could speak, the disciples offstage stirred up noise again. What is night morning? How can you make senior brother Shengzi jealous? This old man. Could it be that you've lost your mind? Jiu Yechen even made Saint Sun senior brother jealous. He is not worthy. I see this old man. It is the jealousy of the Holy Sun, senior brother. This old man. Where did it come from? Do you still call yourself a grand uncle? I spit. Lin Zuzi was furious. Adding to this is Qin Zhao's involvement this time. Yet he did not stop the disciples' clamor for a long time. This made Lin Zuzi even more furious. He glared at Qin Zhao with hate. This is what I said to Feng Xiao. Feng Xiao, you are unworthy and incompetent. Not worthy of holding the position of the Holy Sun. It's better to abdicate early and let others take over. Feng Xiao coldly smiled and gave way. I don't know what you mean by worthy. Which person does it refer to? Could it be that person who harms their own sect members, seizing the sect's treasures, bullying others with arrogance? The night of innocent slaughter. Lin Zuzi coldly snorted at those charges. However, it's just the one-sided words of some rogues that you're entangled with, completely unreliable. Feng Xiao ignored him and respectfully bowed to King Yangzi. Please, master, uphold justice. Everyone coincidentally set their sights on King Yangzi, who had been mostly silent. After a long while, King Yangzi calmly said, the deeds committed by Yi Chen. There are many doubts, although there are accusations, but it is still insufficient for a conviction, considering the contributions made to the sect during the night and dawn. Punishment must lead to reflection for a year. Do not descend the mountain during this time. King Yangzi's words. It left almost everyone dumbfounded. This matter. It was almost a done deal, and accused Yi Chen of. It's no one else. It is indeed the Holy Son of the sect, Feng Xiao, is the eldest disciple under the sect leader, but in the end he chose, standing on the other side of the night, especially thinking of King Yangzi. Unexpectedly admit Lin Zuzi. The identity of this mysterious old man is in the hearts of the disciples. It has stirred up a storm. Even Du Yuanxi. All were looking with disbelief. Look at King Yangzi. The crowd gathered. The only happy one. Perhaps it's only Lin Zuzi. He was overjoyed upon hearing this. Chang King Yangzi cupped his hands in greeting, laughing and saying, the sect leader sees clearly through everything. Master, I admire you. King Yangzi shot him a cold glance. Stand up. Lang Shengdao was blocked. This matter ends here. Let's all disperse. Speaking, King Yangzi then prepared to return to the inner hall. But before he could take a step, then I heard the gentle wind say, "Dost this?" King Yangzi turned around. Furrowing her brows, she looked at Feng Xiao. Feng Xiao said displeased, I know you are unwilling in your heart. However, Feng Xiao said bluntly, interrupting King Yangzi's words. He asked coldly, what happened yesterday? Master clearly witnessed it with his own eyes. Yet still in front of so many people. Bow by Yi Chen. May I ask what kind of rules the master is enforcing? As soon as these words were spoken, suddenly The entire place fell silent. No one expected. This time Feng Shao unexpectedly aimed directly at the sect leader. But that's his master. And King Yangzi is also incredulously looked at Feng Shao, but found the gaze of the wind master. It's terrifyingly cold. King Yangzi silently realized, perhaps oneself, I have always underestimated this senior disciple. Chapter 39. Zhang Tuoli. In King Xianzi's impression, Feng Shao has never looked so expressionless as he does now. Clearly, King Yangzi or Zinni's behavior. You've already broken Feng Shao's bottom line. But King Yangzi was not the least bit flustered. Feng Shao is this person. Essentially, still someone who respects teachers and values the way, usually regarding him as this master, and also sufficiently respectful, like this one, a person who respects the master so deeply. Even if I did it myself, a decision that the wind cannot resolve. So what? Anyway, Feng Shao won't fall out with me. So, King Yangzi said softly, Feng Shao, this is the master's decision. You don't need to pursue it any further. Say it. King Yangzi decided to turn and leave. However, Feng Shao let out a cold laugh. Speaking of yesterday, among those killed by Yi Chen, except for my disciple's younger brother, there is also a shopkeeper of Linglong Pavilion. Could it be that master? I also plan to use this sentence too. Is it the Linglong Pavilion that you are avoiding? King Yangzi said impatiently. This door has the intention of Yin King with Yun Jian Pavilion. Just a mere shopkeeper of the Linglong Pavilion. It's not enough to let Yun Jinj turn against us. As long as we provide a certain compensation, this matter, it can be easily resolved. At this point, King Yangzi even felt, Feng Shao, this great disciple, why is my mind not working well today? Such a simple thing. Do we still meet him? When the master told him how to do it, Feng Shao Kai, the meaning of Jai Fan Zio Zhao Shizan, Yan Jian Ji can be used alone. A little kindness and small favors can buy someone off. Additionally, compensate for the items in Yunjianj. Where does it come from? Should we let the sect intervene? Hearing Feng Shao say this, King Yangzi's expression seemed a bit hesitant. Compensation is to be compensated. But this compensation, if the sect were to. This is what King Yangzi did. I feel a bit of pain in my heart. Although there are good things in the treasure tower. It was all created by Feng Shao and his team, but now it can be considered as it belongs to the sect. It is part of the strength of the Grand Commandant Zong. If some of those things, compensation given apt, I really feel a bit reluctant. Before King Yangzi could speak, Lin Xuzi quickly spoke up. Of course, it was the sect that arranged it. Yi Chen has only been in the field for 5 years. There are hardly any savings at hand. What is there? Compensation for Yunjian is possible. Feng Shao sneered again. On what basis? On what basis, Yi Chen? The things I brought upon myself, but let the entire set come to bear the consequences. The treasures of the treasure tower. What has Yi Chen submitted? Yi Chen has been in the sect for 5 years. No contribution to the sect at all. Instead, it injured a fellow disciple, stealing the sect's treasures. Even created enemies for the sect. Such a notorious person. What use is there in keeping it? Reverse. Lin Xuzi was furious. Can't help it again. I want to take action against Feng. But King Yangzi reached out to stop him. King Yangzi looked at Feng Shao. He said softly, then according to your intention. How should it be? Feng Shao said decisively, waste their cultivation. Expelled from the sect, King Yangzi said unhappily, if we really did this. To outsiders, aren't you afraid of Yan Jianji? Feng Xiao chuckled coldly. Although these years, Teiwei sect is thriving. Strength gradually increases. But where does your confidence come from? I feel I can compete with Yunjian by Shaolin now. Don't mention Yunjian anymore. In the 13 halls under the Yanjian Pavilion, just pick one. It's enough to completely defeat the Teiwei sect. Say it again. This matter was originally the fault of the Teiwei sect. Aren't you going to apologize? But thinking, to maintain face. Okay. Method. I also told you, as long as you ruin Yichen's cultivation, expelled from the sect again, and emphasize, this is because Yichen violated the sect rules, and the actions taken. This way, face. It can also be preserved. But on one hand, don't want to offend Yan Jianji. On one hand, yet I don't want to show weakness in front of Yunjinj. In the end, I still have to firmly protect Yi Chen. They even used this kind. The schemes of Huixin Nai. Do you think? Yan Jianji is quite easy to deceive. I still feel that Yunjinj is easy to bully. Looking at King Yangzi, that uncompromising demeanor, Feng Xiao really couldn't understand. Why, master? Unexpectedly, it was for Yi Chen. This selfish guy, making such an irrational decision. Is this it? The influence of the child of Kai Yan. Is this the legendary one? Fall to the halo. It's simply terrifying. Feng Xiao took a deep breath, spoke with a serious expression. The disciple is the holy son of the sect. It is the responsibility to guide and motivate fellow disciples. There is also an obligation to enforce the door rules. Yi Chen has violated the rules of the sect. Then you must accept the punishment. If there is a crime without punishment, where will the door lead? Who still takes the rules seriously? I humbly ask you, master, to withdraw your command. Disciples in the square. They shouted in unison. Please, master, retract your order. King Yangzi's expression was extremely difficult to bear. In his view, this statement from Feng Xiao, it's simply pushing him towards a dead end. As the leader of the sect, can't we even protect the next one? The rights of sect disciples. Is there nothing left? Feng Xiao did this. Isn't this undermining his dignity as the leader? Rub on the ground. This is simply outrageous. King Yangzi's current biggest concern. It was no longer a matter of Yi Chen's handling, but rather a matter of one's own status. Clearly, in this Teiwei clan, his prestige as the sect leader, not as good as Feng Xiao, this mere eldest disciple, originally King Yangzi, still somewhat wary of Feng Xiao, but now he feels Feng Xiao is already provoking him. Thinking of this face, King Yangzi's face is like cold frost. He said coldly, Feng Xiao, are you really going to take Wu Nai as your master? Feng Xiao solemnly said to his disciple, I dare not contradict my master. But the master's decision, it is truly unbelievable. Please, master, accept wise counsel. Retract the order. King Yangzi said, What if I don't want to? Feng Xiao fell silent for half a moment. He shook his head and sighed, if that's the case. Disciple, there's nothing left to say. King Yangzi couldn't help but smile. HMPH. After all, the leader of this sect, it's still me, but not you, Feng Xiao. Even if you are the Holy Son, you can only listen to what I say. However, before King Yangzi could revel in his success for long, Bianting Feng said calmly, Since the disciple entered the master's school, it has been 30 years. Master to disciple, there are 3 great favors. Therefore, the disciple has been diligent over the years. I only wish to alleviate my master's worries and troubles." Ting Fengshao said this. King Yangzi couldn't help but remember. Feng Shao has worked hard for the sect over the years. Indeed, if there were no wind Shao, the hard work and dedication over the years, Teiwei sect, there wouldn't be such a scene today. Even the Teiwei heart suffer they practiced. If there is no wind, it's hard to carry people, conduct multiple simulations, can only cultivate to the golden core stage. Mirror of transformation, it's simply out of the question. Thinking of this, King Yangzi couldn't help but soften his heart. He was just about to say a few comforting words. But then Feng Shao continued to speak. Master to disciple, a life-saving grace. Disciples perfect the sect's heart method, help the master elevate his realm. It can be considered as repaying the life-saving grace of my master. King Yangzi couldn't help but furrow his brows. The heart that has just softened. I'm feeling a bit off again. Feng Shao said, "What does this mean?" "Evil deeds bear weight." Feng Shao then said, "Master to disciple, gratitude for the kindness of adoption. These years as a disciple, developing and expanding the sect, accepting disciples widely, I have already repaid my master's kindness in taking me in." Hearing this face, everyone present felt that something feels off. They were trembling with fear, looking at the winged young master. "There is a vague feeling in my heart." Unspoken assumptions, but I can only hope this guess is false. Master to disciple, there is a debt of gratitude for imparting knowledge and teaching. The disciple rebuilt the alchemy pavilion for the sect, fasting room, enriched the treasure pavilion and the treasure tower, setting up a great protective formation for the sect's mountain. It can be considered as repaying the masters. The grace of teaching and imparting knowledge. Speaking of this face, Feng Shao raises his head high, word by word. To my brother, who is alive, the disciple questions himself about the sect. To the master, we dedicate our utmost kindness and righteousness. No longer owe anything to the sect or the master. King Yangzi's pair of eyes, staring fiercely at Feng Shao. The tone carries a gentle breeze. What do you mean by that? Could it be that? Do you still want to sentence the teacher's sect? Feng Shao did not directly answer King Yan's words. But first he lowered his head to take a glance. A somewhat anxious little girl gently stroked his little head. This is when the disciple is mentioned. Taking Zhaoye as a disciple, once vowed, "We must seek justice for Zhaoye." Now the master is biased and gullible. The door of governance is neglected. For the crimes committed by Yi Chen, ignore it as if it were nothing. If the disciple continues to stay in Teiwei sect, there is no reason to convict Yi Chen. If governance is strict, it cannot be neglected. The disciple truly has no words to describe the master of the little maid. It also harms the disciple's determination. Since that's the case, then the disciple must leave the sect, as an outsider, demanding repayment for this blood debt from Yi Chen. Feng Shao's words. Actually, it was only half of my true feelings revealed. He has made his decision. Let Zhaoye personally seek revenge for her brother. But the problem is, if Teiwei Zong did not expel Yi Chen from the sect, then Yi Chen is the master's uncle of the little girl. To prepare for the discussion on Fan, Zhaoye has no right to seek revenge on Yi Chen. So, Feng Shao's first task is it's about severing this relationship. Either expel Yi Chen from the sect, either Feng Shao separates from the sect himself. In short, in this Teiwei sect, only one of the two can remain. Therefore, when King Yangzi decided to protect Yi Chen, this result was destined. Feng Shao's words. This left almost everyone present in shock. Qin Jiao stood up first, scolded Xiao Feng. What are you talking about? You have worked hard in Teiwei sect for 30 years. Are you really going to let it go so easily today? Have you abandoned your sect? Du Yuanxi hurriedly advised Feng Xiao. Zhang Min Shikshin. Perhaps there are things I said that are not quite right, but he is, after all, your master. Between master and apprentice, why can't we just say things properly? Why must one leave the sect? Lu Qingyuan also teaches students. Shenzi Shikshin. We, the junior disciples. But it's all because of your guidance. Are you really going to do this? What about us? Other disciples also advised him. Please think carefully. Brother Shengzi, why bother for Yi Fan? Just leave the sect. Feng Xiao's mind is made up. Just waved his hand. It is said that no one is without fortune or misfortune. I have already agreed. The little duck wants to seek justice for himself. One must practice what they preach. He bowed to everyone again. Speaking of these years, thanks to everyone's support. Building a sect with Feng Xiao. Feng Xiao thanks everyone again. The road of the rivers and lakes is long. Goodbye until we meet again. Speak. Feng Xiao picked up the little girl. Desire to meet and rise. He no longer glanced at King Yangzi. In the blink of an eye, it vanished without a trace. 40 wind chimes snow, to see the flight above the sky. The fierce cold wind blows. But Feng Xiao felt very calm inside. Master, the little girl who has always been nestled in Feng Xiao's arms, suddenly looked up. Timidly, they asked their master, Disciple, disciple, did I cause you any trouble? Feng Xiao couldn't help but laugh. Why do you say that? The little girl lowered her head, whispered, I heard that the master is in the sect. It seems like their status is quite high. Many people listen to what the master says. The master is in the sect. There must be quite a few people who are reluctant to part ways. However, the master was worried because of the disciple, separated from the sect. Disciple, disciple. Speaking of which, the little girl couldn't continue speaking. Feng Xiao gently strokes the little girl's head. Xiao Dao said that the master left the Teiwei sect. It is indeed partly because of you, but not everything. If it weren't for master protecting me, actually, there's no need to leave the sect at all. The little girl asked. Feng Xiao sighed. They say a person lives a lifetime. There are things one should not do. There must be a reason for everything. Yi Chen's actions. You have already crossed my bottom line. So in Teiwei sect. But I dare not speak. He has him, but not me. Since the sect has decided to protect Yi Chen, then I naturally won't stay any longer. But won't the master feel reluctant? It's hard to part with it. But I don't want to abandon my principles even more. Feng Xiao said sternly, Xiaohe, this is the first lesson I teach you. I hope for the future, no matter what level you have reached in your cultivation, always remember, before the cultivation, Xu Zhong Ziu Zin, I am being cultivated. It's not about being useful or ruthless. It's not for the sake of the common people. But in order to appear, we want to do it. And the things that must be done, we have the ability to do it. Carefree and at ease, not doing as one pleases. That night Chen had already stepped into the dark path. In the future, one must inevitably take an unusual path. I do not wish for a day in the future. You will be like him. The little girl nodded as if she understood. Looking at the little girl, that expression still showed a hint of guilt. Feng Xiao started to laugh. Don't you think? I have left the Toei sect. So pitiful. Xiaoya scratched her head. regarding Feng Shao's words. I don't know how to answer. He really feels. The situation of the master is a bit pitiful. After all, the sect leader would actually go to such lengths for a disciple with 3 tails, and give up on him, the eldest disciple of the sect, even more so, let alone this chief disciple. You have made so many contributions to the sect, but he really can't help it. Speak it out loud. After all, saying it can be quite hurtful. Feng Shao smiled brightly like a clear moon in the sky. I will teach you the second lesson. Sometimes inheritance is a form of wealth, but sometimes a legacy can also be a burden, especially this enterprise. It's not yet the time to call the shots. Tai Weizong has certainly been my painstaking endeavor for 30 years. Only then did we arrive at the current situation. But this does not mean I want to hold onto this legacy fiercely. All along, I work so hard. Actually, it's mainly to repay a favor. And the favor has been repaid. So, the remaining, it's finally my own time. The little girl looked confused and asked, Master, what do you mean by that? Feng Shao patted her head. Laughing means to say, Master owe me. Now I'm free. What do you want to do? Then what can we do? No longer need to consider the sect's interests. The little girl couldn't help but feel disgusted. So it turns out the master. Have you always thought this way? Tai Wai always meant a lot to her. Actually, far from it. What she imagined was that important. Actually, Feng Shao didn't really feel that way. It's not that important, but rather feel like myself, because it is too general. We have already wasted too much time. She has always hoped. Can someone take over the burden she carries? This way, she can go do some things. It's my own business now. And this has always been her, dedicated to cultivating disciples of the sect. Root cause, the position of the Holy Son for Feng Shao. It really doesn't matter. She doesn't care at all. For her, the seat of the Holy Son, more like a shackle, instead of the throne, only someone like Yi Chen, a greedy and selfish person. Only then will it continue in this position. But this position of the Holy Son, Feng Shao, can be avoided. But I can't let Yi Chen take it away. This is a matter of dignity. Her plan is cultivating those who can truly bear the weight. Disciples from the same sect come out. Then, boldly and shamelessly, transfer this position of the Holy Son. As for herself, then you can choose to stay in this sect, or go travel. After all, this world is so vast. If you don't go out more often to see the world, isn't it a waste? This lifetime that came through time. So, Feng Shao did not because feeling dejected after leaving the sect. She just feels a bit regretful. Regret for the Teiwei sect ultimately did not become the way she wants it. What a pity for such a fine Teiwei sect. Bei Yechen and Lin Zuzi. 2 Mais. The food ruined a good pot of soup, regretting the once fair and wise master, but ultimately turned into now this appearance. But this result is her choice. As for how things will develop in the future, then it has nothing to do with her. But this guy Yi Chen, Feng Shao will not let this go. Yi Chen is the son of aura, possessing an aura far beyond that of ordinary people. Those who deepen this kind of aura, cultivating oneself, Jingjing is extremely fast. But the little girl wants to take revenge herself, to avenge the murder of his homeland. So, Feng Shao plans. After a while, hit to the point of regression. If given the chance, it would be best to take away her chance as well. All the valuables on my body have been stolen, to prevent her from growing too strong too quickly. leaving the girl with no way to take revenge. Not long after, Feng Xiao took the little girl. Meeting has arrived in Liang City. Looking at this familiar city, the little girl had a very complicated expression. She only left for one night. But this city, the most important person to her, no longer here, this made the little girl feeling very sad. The hatred towards Yi Chen, it has also deepened. Feng Xiao patted her shoulder, said, "Let's go to Linglong Pavilion first." At this moment, Linglong Pavilion. 3 members of the Teiwei sect, 2 disciples on guard. These 3 disciples still don't know. Feng Xiao has already left Teiwei sect. Seeing Feng Xiao as a child, their eyes lit up. Everyone bows in greeting. To Saint Brother, whenever it is. Feng Xiao in their minds, they are the most respected individuals. This respect, still above the sect leader, after all, for them, the sect leader often, they are all longed for yet unattainable existences. But Feng Xiao is truly real. Lead them, the guide on the path of cultivation, facing the bowing of the 3 individuals. Feng Xiao waved his hand, speaking of everyone. I came here for a purpose. It is to bury the 2 people who were tragically killed last night. Please, everyone, hand over the bodies of these 2 people to me. At that moment, a disciple nodded in agreement. Shenzi Shixing, please follow me, although I have left the sect. But Feng Xiao didn't want to say it outright here. After all, it's a bit complicated to explain. Moreover, these disciples, I will definitely try my best to persuade him to return to the mountains. He doesn't like trouble, simply chose to overlook this matter. Anyway, after they return to the mountain, nature will know the cause and effect. Before long, Feng Xiao and the little girl arrived at one side of the courtyard, in an empty room. The room is furnished with a large coffin and a small coffin. After seeing those 2 coffins, the little girl couldn't hold back anymore, pouncing on the small coffin, crying out in despair. Feng Xiao watched this scene. He couldn't help but sigh. From today onwards, the little girl only has, "You are my only relative." After the little girl's crying subsided, Feng Xiao softly said, "Little girl, buried together with me, the shopkeeper and your brother." The little girl gritted her teeth, nodded vigorously. Under Feng Xiao's arrangement, soon it will be for the 2 of them. Found a prime Feng Shui location. After burying the 2, the little girl knelt before the tombstone. Speaking of the shopkeeper uncle, Xiao Bao, I swear I must take revenge for you myself, kill those who have harmed you, cut into 1,000 pieces. I thought you were in the spirit world. Finished speaking, the little girl heavily bowed 4 times. Then the little girl approached Feng Xiao again, bowed 3 times. Speaking of the master, the disciple bows to you. Feng Xiao was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. How can one behave so rudely? However, considering that the little girl's current mood, Feng Xiao didn't make a fuss about it either, but just nodded. Starting from today, you are now officially my disciple. I am no longer people of Teiwei sect. Therefore, you can't really be considered a disciple of the Y clan either. Additionally, your name doesn't suit you, girl. Not as good as my junior apprentice. You can choose a name. Do you still remember? What is your father's surname? The little girl shook her head. Then Feng Xiao said, since that's the case, then you can take my surname. After thinking for a while, Feng Xiao said, the branch of the plum tree in the corner. Ling Shuang opens alone. Its nuts know when shaken. The fragrance has yet to arrive. I hope for your future. can be like the plum blossom, ling shuan aozu, not bowing to the chill of the wind. The little girl asked, "So the name given to me by my master. It is Feng Mei." Feng Xiao shook his head. "It is Finglin Zhu." Little girl, "Just kidding. How could I possibly give Sidi Dizzy Kai Feng Mei such a tacky name? It is still Fenglin Zhu. Sounds better." Little girl, "Oh no. Now it should be called Finglin Zhu." Heavily towards Feng Xiao, bowed my head, said, "Thank you, master, for the bestowed name." After Feng Linzu stood up, Feng Xiao said, "Thua, during this time I have been teaching, there are other important matters to attend to, so I need to send you first, at a friend's place. Lie for a while. For my teachings it will be a short period of 1 to 2 months. 3 to 5 months long. Will come back. Before the teacher returns, you must be obedient and listen well. Don't cause trouble." Finglin Zhu never expected. Just completed the master-apprentice ceremony. The master is about to leave on a long journey. As soon as I stepped outside, it's been several months. Just thinking about how long it will be, when you can't see. Finglin Zhu could not help but speak, a somewhat unhappy expression. Feng Xiao smiled, patted her on the head. "Speaking of that place, but many cultivators, a place that everyone dreams of. There, there is a very beautiful ant. She will teach you profound swordsmanship. Before the master returns, you must take care. Learn from that ant. Don't embarrass the master." Finglin Zhu curiously asked, "What place did the master mention?" Feng Xiao smiled faintly. Glimmer of the Wind, Zio Yao Tang. Chapter 41. Zioyao Hall. After the farewell, the few guarding Linglong Pavilion, 2 disciples followed. Feng Xiao took Feng Lingxiu and flew with his sword, soaring towards the fleeting wind. And those few disciples, I never expected it at all. At this moment, Feng Xiao, he is no longer their holy son senior brother. Glimpse of the wind from Liang City. It's more than 1,000 miles. Feng Xiao had to take someone with him. You need to use true energy. Protect Finglin Zhu. Therefore, the speed has decreased significantly. Thus, all the way, the two of them flew for a full 3 days. During these 3 days, Finglin Zhu, gradually healing from the pain of losing loved ones, recovering, in communication with Feng Xiao. There are also many more smiles. This eased Feng Xiao's mind significantly. Hatred can become the driving force of a person's determination. But if one becomes overly immersed in hatred, but lacked diligence in cultivation, Feng Xiao has been like this these days. I've been trying hard to guide the little girl. See the little girl, gradually breaking free from hatred and pain. I am also very happy about it. 3 days later, Glimmering Wind, Zioyao Hall, Zio Yao Tang. He is the chief of the 13 halls under Yan Jian Ji. It's just parallel. Another chief of the 13 halls is Langyu Hall. Tandu Lang Lingyu, Zio Yao, the master of Zio Yao Hall, major in swordsmanship, known as the Carefree Fairy, the master of the Cold Moon Hall Lang Lingyu. The main focus is on sword techniques. Known as the Cold Moon Fairy, these two people, also known as the Yan Jian Ji Shuing Jiao. He is also the right-hand man of Lin Fengshen, the master of Yunjing. Lingyu, the Cold Moon Fairy, it is Lin Fengshen's opinion, and the Carefree Fairy, Zio Yuo Yao, is Lin Fengshen's lawful wife. Zio Yuo Yao and Lin Feng Tian has a daughter, named Lin Zioren. She is Feng Xiao's fiancée. Feng Xiao came this time. I have come to pay my respects to the leader of the Zioyao Hall, Zio Royao. That is her future mother-in-law, Zhao Yuoyao's daughter. This year I am already 15 years old. But Zhao Yuoyao herself, she looked like a girl of 15 or 16. I can't see at all. She is the mother of a 15-year-old girl. Upon hearing the news of Feng Xiao's visit, she immediately went to the reception room, met this future son-in-law. Looking at Zhao Yuoyao, it seems completely a delicate beauty untouched by the passage of time. Feng Xiao couldn't help but feel emotional. The power of cultivation, just for the effect of eternal youth. It's no wonder so many people sharpen their minds. We also need to amend the Constitution. Zhao Yuoyao has a pair of enchanting eyes. First, he took a good look at Feng Xiao. Then he smiled and mentioned Feng Xiao. I remember the last time, when you came to my carefree hall. It was 7 years ago. 7 years have passed. I didn't expect your appearance. There hasn't been any change at all. Feng Xiaogan chuckled. Speaking of Aunt Zio, please don't mock the younger generation. Speaking of ageless beauty, in this world, who can compare to you? Light from the outside. Perhaps everyone will think that you are Rare's younger sister. Zhao Buoyao smiled. You little rascal. Your words are quite sweet. By the way, you came here today. It shouldn't be for that. You came over to flatter me, didn't you? Feng Xiao heard this. Jiangxi arrived at Aunt Zio's. I have something to discuss, senior. I would like to ask you for a favor. Zhao Yuoyao nodded and said. Feng Xiao patted, sitting next to her. The slightly cramped wind chimed snow. Speaking of this little girl, this is my newly accepted disciple. She no longer has any family. Besides me, nowhere to go but the younger generation recently. I need to go on a long trip. Therefore, hope for Aunt Zio can take care of the younger ones. Zio Yuoyao cast her gaze, threw it towards the wind chimes and snow. The next moment, suddenly my eyes lit up. She walked quickly ahead. First, it was about Fingling Zhu, looked up and down. Then he started to squeeze again, Ning Fingling's arms and shoulders. Although she has tried her best to hold back her strength, Dan Fingling Zhu, still feeling the pain from being squeezed. But before coming here, Feng Xiao had repeatedly advised her, you must not be here. I was rude in front of Zhao Yuoyao. Fingling Zhu gritted her teeth and endured, but was overwhelmed by Zhao Yuoyao. After this round of squeezing, Fangling Zhu, it has already hurt to the point of cold tears in my eyes. A face that looks like it's about to cry at any moment. Finally, it was not easy to wait for. Zhao Yuoyao stopped, but before the wind chimes and cedar could speak, 2 fingers pressed on the pulse. Then Fingling Zhu felt a surge of true energy along her meridians enter her body. Before long, just within the body, made a full circle. Zhao Yuoyao's true energy by Fingling's true energy. Yet it is vast beyond measure. Fingling Zhu only felt within constant pain and discomfort. Meridians. Everyone seems to be getting affected. Zhao Yuoyao's true energy burst. After a while, Zhao Yuoyao just withdrew her hand, looked at Feng Xiao with surprise. This little girl, where did you find me? With this kind of bone structure. It is truly a natural building material, if guided properly. As time goes by, perhaps your achievements are no less than mine. Feng Xiao already knew. Fingling Zhu has extraordinary talent. After all, the charm of that red-haired girl. It's not a joke. Even so, she didn't expect it either. Zhao Buoyao unexpectedly gave Such a high evaluation. I was quite surprised. After the surprise, Feng Shao sincerely, happy for Fingling Zhu, she said with a smile, "This little girl, it is I in Liang City, an unexpected encounter, because it feels destined," adding to her own demands. "So I took her as my disciple. It's just that Aunt Zio also knows. After all, I'm a man. In some ways, it's not about personally teaching. So I can only, please take care of it, Aunt Zio." Zio Luoyao understood, nodded in agreement. You as the master. That's quite thoughtful. Under normal circumstances, master accepts disciples. Only men can receive men. A woman receives another woman. This is not a rigid rule, but there are some areas that need guidance. It is indeed not suitable for interaction between the opposite sexes. For example, remember the meridian acupoints. Must point and poke at oneself. Only then can one truly be remembered. If it were a river valley, Bei Hui and the like, acupressure points on the hands or neck. So be it. But if we encounter the bell, acupoints in sensitive areas like the Kai-Si, there is suspicion of being a rogue, not to mention Huian. Seven doors and similarities, the acupoints that cannot be spoken of. Fingling Zhu may be just the little girl who has just started to develop. But she's also a girl. At first, Feng Shao wanted to recommend him to Sanjai. It is precisely due to this consideration. Zio Royao turned her gaze towards Feng Lingxu again. He let out a sigh. "Na na Dao. What a pity." Feng Shao asked in confusion. "What a pity." Zio Royao feigned regret as she spoke. "It's a pity for such a good seedling. You little rascal stole it away. If only I could have discovered it sooner. What business is it of yours, kid?" Feng Shao. Feng Lingzhu suddenly hugged Feng Shao's arm. He said softly but firmly, "I only want my master to be my master." Feng Lingzhu's words are a bit awkward. Hearing this, Zio Royao couldn't help but burst into laughter. She gently patted Feng Lingzhu's little head, asking the little girl, "Would you like to learn swordsmanship with me?" Feng Lingzhu instinctively turned her gaze towards Feng Shao. Giant Feng nodded lightly. "This is what I meant by my willingness." But then Feng Lingzhu weakly asked, "Do I need to pay my respects to you as my master?" Zio Royao glanced at Feng Shao. Shaking his head, he said it wasn't necessary. "Your master could be considered my future son-in-law. Of course, I won't compete with my family for disciples. And your master's swordsmanship, more than half of it was taught by me. I am just passing on what your master taught you." Fingling Zhu nodded, as if she understood. "I ask you to teach me the swordsmanship of my master. Then you are my grandmaster. I am not your master's master. So you don't need to call me master ancestor." Speaking of which, Zio Royao couldn't help but mutter softly, "The son-in-law's apprentice. What should I be called?" Thought about it for half a day. Zio Royao couldn't come up with a suitable title. He simply waved his hand, said, "Anyway, you're not much smaller than him. From now on, just call me Aunt Zio." The wind chimes nod gently. He called out in a soft voice, "Aunt Zio," when speaking of the wind chimes snow. Zio Royao sat back down in her chair, looking at the wind whistle. With a serious expression, he said, "Feng Shao, there are still some important matters. You didn't tell me, did you?" Wind whistle certificate. He then smiled wryly. "It turns out I can't hide anything from Aunt Zio." Zio Royal coldly snorted. "I am immersed in studying the art of swordsmanship. But it's not that they are unaware of everything. You brat took in a disciple. Do not place the disciple on Tewei Mountain, but brought it here to me. Don't say it's for his sake. Learn swordsmanship with me. I can teach him. You can naturally teach as well. I'm afraid the real reason is there must be some turmoil over at Tewei Mountain." Feng Xiao sighed, only to recount the events that transpired, to inform Zhao Royao in detail. Zhao Royao became more and more irritated as she listened. Finally, I couldn't help but slap the table, angry at how Qingtai has lived all these years. Have you all lived your lives like dogs for just one night? You actually disregard the importance of your minor sect. Greatest contributor, if it were with me, Yi Chen is such a person. Abolishing one's cultivation is already considered mild. Let me say, he should have his limbs severed, then thrown into the sea of vengeful spirits. Go for the vengeful spirit. Don't look at Zhao Royao. Small and adorable. An appearance that seems harmless to both people and animals. Actually, she was also someone back then. A ruthless and merciless person. Before the establishment of Yun Giant Ji, Zhao Yao Tang has already existed. The name of the carefree fairy Zhao Royao, even more so throughout the entire Eastern Zhu. All are deafeningly impressive. Its most famous achievement, even on the Broken Dragon platform, single sword alone, continuously challenging the Qinyang sword sect. 17 masters. It even included the most prestigious of the Qinyang sword sect, Saint Sun Yang Shaolin. The name of the carefree fairy, it was also at that moment, begin to shake the world. Later, Zhao Royao married Lin Fengshen and gave birth to a daughter, Lin Zioran. From then on, cultivate oneself and nurture one's character. Focusing on raising my daughter, the Eastern Jew gradually started to. The legend of Zhao Royao is diminished. If not for this, Zhao Royao now, she is probably a terrifying witch that everyone fears. At this moment, King Yangzi's actions, yet let Zhao Royao, finally unleashed my killing move. Feng Xiao said with a calm demeanor, "Aunt Zhao doesn't need to move her eyes. Easy Liu. If not, then go, since she wants to protect Yi Chen at all costs. Then I will leave the sect. Just right for Yi Chen to give to Zhu to prevent Zhu from being affected by Yi Chen in the future," and gave rise to a new magic. Zhao Royao looked at Feng Xiao. A look of admiration flashed in their eyes. "Well said. With your abilities, the vastness of the world, where can't we go, regardless of whether it is Zioao Hall, still at Yunjianj? We welcome your joining." Feng Xiao, however, smiled and said, "Thank you, Aunt Zhao, for the invitation. However, the younger generation has different aspirations, although it might be a bit difficult. But the younger generation still want to give it a try. Zhao Royao is of high quality and few. He is someone with ambitions higher than the sky, and quite capable as well. It has only been dedicated to the past. Development is too much. Therefore, its reputation is not prominent, now detached from the Tewei sect. For Feng Xiao, isn't it also a kind of voice from the heart?" Zhao Royao smiled and nodded. "Since that's the case, then I can only wish you well. May you realize your aspirations soon. Additionally, if you need help with anything, Yun Jianji will also provide strong support. Thank you, Aunt Zhao. By the way, what are your plans next?" Zhao Royao asked. Feng Xiao pondered for a moment. "Just mentioned. The younger generation is preparing to go to the Sansheng Tower." Chapter 42, Influence. Hearing the words Sansheng Tower, Zhao Roya's expression, it inevitably became serious. She slowly said, The Three Lives Tower is ranked among the top 10 realms. It's not just a matter of words. Are you really going? Feng Xiao nodded. He said with a serious expression, "The Three Lives Tower for the younger generation. Extraordinary. So, this trip is a must." Zhao Royale remained silent for half a moment. "Speaking of the case, I should stop you from the past. You are, however, her fiancé. But since you are leaving, it is likely to end in disaster. I certainly don't hope so. However, it hasn't crossed the threshold yet." Was forced to remain a widow. Feng Xiao said with great confidence, "Please don't worry, Aunt Zio. I have a way to enter the Sensheng Tower. Although complete safety cannot be guaranteed, but just be careful and attentive. Exiting unscathed is not a problem." Zio Royale looked at Feng Xiao. After a long while, "Since that's the case, I can only sigh. Then you may go. I originally wanted to let Ranran come over to meet you, but it seems now. Never mind then. Names of the 10 realms." Lin Zioran also took pride in her knowledge. With Lin Zioran's personality. If only I had known. Feng Xiao is going to the Sansheng Tower. It must be done to the best of one's ability, preventing Feng Xiao from going. Since that's the case, then it's better not to tell Lin Zioran at all. To avoid Lin Zioran. Lin Zioran was worried for no reason. Hearing what Zio Royale said, Feng Xiao also understood. Then stand up. It's so late. Farewell to the rescued. Sir, please take care of Aunt Zio. Don't worry. Feng Xiao looked down again, holding on to the hem of her dress. Feng Lingzu looked reluctant to part. "Zio Dao Zu you should listen to Aunt Zio here. Don't be willful. Do you know?" Feng Lingzu pressed her lips together. The disciple understood. Feng Xiao nodded slightly. He bowed to Zio Royale again, then turned and left. After Feng Xiao left, "Feng Lingzu is still far away. I'm willing to withdraw my gaze for a long time." Zio Royale stepped forward, holding Feng Lingzu's shoulder. Laughing, he said, "Don't worry. Your master never fights battles they are unsure of." Since she is confident, escaped from the Three Life Tower unscathed, then there will definitely be no problem. Finglin looked worried and asked, "Aunt Zio, isn't the Three Life Tower very dangerous?" Zio Royale thought for a moment, said, "Is it really dangerous or not? No one knows. Just a legend. Anyone who enters the Sensheng Tower, few are able to return." Finglin Zhu was taken aback. "What will the master do?" Zio Royale smiled. She said, "It's nothing. Then there will definitely be no problem. You little girl, rather than worrying about your master, you might as well focus on learning swordsmanship with me, waiting for your master to return. Just show him what you've got. Surprise your master." At the same time, drifting in the afterwind, Lin Zioran of Mountain Love Sword, unconsciously, she glanced in the direction where Zhang Feng had left. "Nan nan Dao, why does it feel like—" What was missed? The departure of Feng Xiao for Teiwei sect, a quake that felt like the sky was falling and the earth was collapsing. Many disciples. Even 3 days later, I couldn't snap back to reality. Just feel the events that happened that day, like a dream. For then, the Holy Son, who is like a brother and father. I can't believe they just walked away like that. Just like that, you abandon it. Those junior disciples, separated from the sect, before that day, no matter who it is. If one day Feng Xiao will leave the sect, those who listen will surely not believe it, because in their view, Feng Xiao for this sect, for everyone in this sect, from top to bottom. We have all sacrificed too much to everyone else, just like the spiritual leader of the Teiwei sect, and not just the head disciple. So Feng Shao's behavior, many people unable to accept. But what they found even harder to accept, it is the attitude of Master Qingyangzi. Feng Shao's departure from the sect. Nature provoked the wrath of Qingyangzi. He first appeared before the gathered disciples. After giving Feng Shao a severe reprimand, he was expelled from the school by Feng Shao. He even required the disciples under him, "If I ever meet young Master Feng in the future, no longer regard him as a member of the Teiwei sect, but to treat it as an enemy, and then take it down to abolish the cultivation." Regarding Qingyangzi's words, everyone present, except for Lin Zuzi, Lai Ma expressed, "It should be like this." Everyone else remained silent. Facing the silent crowd of disciples, Qingyangzi's anger surged even more, after a heavy grunt. Then he turned back to the inner hall. In the time that followed, Teiwei sect upper and lower, caught in a strange calm. All disciples. Still one should meditate. Practice the sword, practice the sword. Just between each other. There has been much less communication. Even with some communication, let's try to avoid the topic of Feng Shao as much as possible, to avoid displeasing the sect leader. Even so, they always seem to talk about it intentionally or unintentionally. When Feng Shao was still around, how harmonious is the sect? Senior brothers and sisters, how is it that we love each other so deeply? Encountered a challenge in cultivation. How did you get through Feng Shao again? Finding a solution. They had already gotten used to it. Feng Shao helps them solve all their problems. At this moment, this person is missing. They felt an emptiness in their hearts. I can't get motivated to do anything. And the despondency of the disciples creates a striking contrast. It is Lin Zuzi and Yi Chen. Lin Zuzi noticed the desire emanating from Yi Chen, believes that Teiwei sect will have a bright future. If one wishes to carry forward and promote, it must be led by Yi Chen. Therefore, he believes Feng Shao, the holy son of this sect. At most, it's just Yi Chen's demon blade stone. Now Feng Shao has left. It's quite a pity. But the magic blade stone is everywhere. Even if it's not Feng Shao, you can also switch to another person. For example, the second disciple of the master, Gao Yi, two great disciples, Cao Guang and others. Even the three eldest disciples, Han Bian. It is also quite suitable. As for the sect's holy son, just enough time freed up for Yi Chen. And what about Yi Chen? After hearing this news, flipped over directly on the spot to celebrate, in his view, the entire Teiwei sect. Only Feng Shao can hold him down. Now, Feng Shao is gone. The holy son position of the Teiwei sect. Sooner or later, it will be one's own. After becoming the holy son, resources within the sect. Then it all depends on oneself, pursuing what is desired. Even though it was tightly locked up, it made him feel a bit unhappy. But it can drive away Feng Shao. For him, it's still very worthwhile. So in these past few days, Yi Chen, who was tightly confined, neither did he face the wall. I haven't thought about it either, thinking in my heart. It's all waiting for him to come out. How to stand out among the crowd. Establish your own authority. The influence of Feng Shao. Thoroughly clean it up. And Jiang Teiwei sect. Become your own one-man show. When the time comes, not yet myself. Do whatever you want. Yi Chen had a beautiful dream. The plan is quite good. Even when sleeping. Couldn't help but drool. Besides this, the most complicated emotions. Perhaps it is the sect leader King Yangzi. Feng Shao's contributions to the sect. King Yangzi has been observed closely. Also admit, if it weren't for Feng Shao's contribution, Teiwei sect will not exist. In this current situation, Feng Shao's departure from the sect, rather than being dissatisfied with him, it's better to say that this made him furious. I couldn't help but feel in my heart, feeling a bit frustrated. That's why it will be in a fit of anger and embarrassment, in front of everyone, announce such a decision. But in King Yangzi's heart, actually, Feng Shao is still the most suitable candidate for the next leader. The only problem is Feng Shao's reputation in the sect is too high, even overshadowed his position as the leader. This is what he finds intolerable. So King Yangzi's mood, very complicated. He couldn't even speak clearly. Am I more angry than anything else? There is still more regret. But it has come to this. Thinking about these is already useless. The urgent matter at hand. It is to help Grand Commander Zong get rid of Feng Shao. The impact of leaving the sect. If this matter is handed over to Feng Shao, he has many ways, can be easily resolved. However, King Yangzi thought for a long time afterward. The only solution I could come up with, disciples of the sect are simply not allowed. Discussing Feng Shao. Do not discuss Feng Shao. Contributions made to the sect. Discussion of Feng Shao's departure from the sect is prohibited, bringing unease to everyone, even forbidding the mention of the name Feng Shao. After King Yangzi issued this ban, before long the disciples gathered. I saw Qin Zhao huffing angrily, rushed into the sect leader's residence. I don't know either. 2 people are in the room. What did they say? In the end, the final result is Qin Zhao angrily slammed the door, and then King Yangzi instructed his disciples, the things that were broken in the room, clean it thoroughly. Du Yuanxi's feelings were also very complicated, but what sets me apart from others is he is more concerned about Feng Shao, still feeling guilty. After all, the center of conflict lies in contradictions. He is the disciple he brought from the foot of the mountain. If only back then he did not accept Yi Chen as his disciple, well then, Tai Wai's on. It will still be the same now. The joyful scene. Leaving the sect. It's partly his fault. In the 3 realms, except for Du Yuanxi, his 3 female disciples. These past few days have been restless. Between sister disciples, although there are no barriers. But also because of this matter, fell into a strange calm. No matter if it's Feng Shao, it's still Yi Chen. It seems that all has become taboo words. But on the surface, calm. Yet my heart remains restless. In these past few days, all disciples of Tai Wai-san, while meditating, all I can feel is a sense of agitation, completely unable to concentrate. Even if forced into meditation, in the end it will also be because rebellious mindset, and almost went mad, right here in this area, in the eerie silence. However, there are some people took the lead in making changes. 2 disciples under the same master. The group bids farewell to Qin Zhao, decided to leave the sect. Chapter 43, Walking Among People. This matter, once again in Teiwizong, caused a huge uproar. But what's even more surprising is Qin Zhao surprisingly accepted it calmly, even went personally. They sent them out of the mountain gate. After the 2 disciples left, Qin Yangzi, who arrived upon hearing the news, rushed to arrive, seeing Qin Zhao's expression, the demeanor of being unfazed by honor or disgrace. Qin Yangzi couldn't contain his anger. Why are you so easily? Let your disciples leave. Qin Zhao said calmly. If people's hearts are scattered, even if you keep someone, it's also useless. It's better to let them go. A broader heavenly palace? Qin Yangzi gritted his teeth. But do you know, the disciples who have left, they are the backbone of the sect. So what? Qin Jiao smiled faintly. Feng Shao is also a pillar of strength. Isn't it just about leaving whenever? That's not the same. What is different? Your disciple. You can choose not to care. My disciples. But I can't help but care, even if they want to leave the sect. As a master, I can only wish. They can go further. Qin Yanzi's two eyes, staring intently. Qin Zhao, you are simply crazy. Qin Zhao let out a loud laugh. He turned and left with determination. After walking a few dozen meters, his voice echoed from afar, "Senior brother, am I really going crazy? Or are you the one who's crazy?" Qin Yangzi watched Qin Zhao's back, eyes ablaze. Not a word was spoken. Actually, the departure of the two disciples. There is certainly a component of Qin Zhao's instigation involved. In his view, Tai Wai San, to thrive and grow, it's not about who is stronger, but it's about who better able to unite people's hearts. Without a doubt, Feng Shao is indeed this person, even regardless of the sect leader. Still two and three. Most of the disciples under the door. They all came to the sect through Feng Shao. And now Feng Shao has left. Many disciples, and instantly lost his anchor of support, though the sect leader is still inside. Shizu Shizu,